Players and coaches ganging up against Alex Van Pelt following the Patriots' blowout loss to the Cardinals. We examine it all here on Patscast.
Out in the desert, the Pats fell hard. Mayo's defense cracked, couldn't play their part. 30 on the
Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. Good to be with you from the most run-down Hilton in Phoenix. Want my money back after attending that game. 30-17, the Patriots lose. Wasn't really all that close. The Patriots did get a couple garbage time touchdowns late, thanks to the heroics from Jerod Mayo, who had a pretty good game, 19 of 23 passing, 202 yards, did throw a pick that wasn't really his fault off a bobbled pass from Kayshon Boutte. But really, the story coming out of this game seems to be Jerod Mayo, Jerod Mayo, Kayshon Boutte, even ownership potentially throwing Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator, under the bus. And we saw in the post-game presser, Jerod Mayo was asked the question because there was a moment early in the game where the Patriots were driving down the field, had a real opportunity to get back into this football game. Near the goal line, it wasn't 3rd and goal or 4th and goal. It was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 from like the 3 or 4 yard line. And instead, the Patriots, instead of having Jerod Mayo, roll out or run a QB sneak or something like that, they decided to just run it up the gut with Ramondre Stevenson. The defense saw it coming. Patriots have never been able to pull off of these short plays in crunch time, except for that one game against the Jets. Otherwise, the Patriots really struggle when the defense knows what's coming. And after the game, Jerod Mayo was asked, because they were stopped on both 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, short of the goal line, turned the ball back to the Arizona Cardinals. Jerod Mayo was asked after the game, do you wish you had just given the ball to your quarterback, let him use his legs to try to get that first down? And Jerod Mayo's response was, you said it, I didn't. Jerod Mayo was also asked after the game a similar question, and his response was, well, I'm a quarterback. I'm paraphrasing here. He said after the game, I made a lot of plays with my legs in college. I ran a lot of QB sneaks, was highly successful there. Essentially saying Alex Van Pelt should have been more aggressive using the legs of the quarterback. Kayshon Boutte also had a quote after the game saying he wished the offense had been more aggressive out of the gate, saying they were expecting the Arizona Cardinals to play man-to-man coverage, which I don't know why, because the Arizona Cardinals have been a zone defensive team, but they were playing man because teams just do not have respect for what the Patriots have with their weapons on offense. And just watching the game in person, you really see the difference. You see all of the openings that Kyler Murray has to throw the ball to. And Jerod Mayo finding Hunter Henry, finding various receivers throughout the game with absolutely nothing to work with. Receivers are not separating. Apparently they pointed that out on the broadcast as well. And you just see what Jerod Mayo has to throw. And I'm going, I don't know how he found Hunter Henry there. He wasn't even open. Managed to get a 7-yard gain on that throw. There are tons of plays like that with Jerod Mayo where it just came so much easier for the Arizona Cardinals offense than it did the Patriots offense. And the real complaint going into this game is how cautious, how much the Patriots offense was playing it safe throughout the entire game, just running the football, not taking advantage of this dynamic quarterback that they've never had in New England, not using his legs, not really getting rid of the football quickly in ways that they should, just trying to pound the ball, even when they were down by an enormous deficit. Midway through the second quarter, the Patriots were still playing cautiously. And look, I get it. This was a game where you're going up against one of the worst run defenses in the league, which is the Arizona Cardinals have been all year. The Patriots went into this game saying, we should be able to run the football fairly successfully against this team. Unfortunately, they were not until about the second half when the defense was expecting the Patriots to open up the passing game more, and that's where Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson got most of their yardage. They still ran the ball for 116 yards. You look at the box score and said, okay, the Patriots were able to run the football. No, they were able to run the football when they were down 2-3 touchdowns, and the defense was expecting them to pass. So I'm seeing a lot of people throwing Alex Van Pelt under the bus after this game, and I think it is well-deserved because this has been my issue with Alex Van Pelt the entire season, is the lack of creativity on offense, the lack of risk-taking. They had early drive in the game where they ultimately settled for a field goal and Joey Sly missed it. Patriots had a chance to get on the board early. They had a chance to go for it on fourth down there. They didn't do it. And that's my biggest complaint with Alex Van Pelt. Yeah, I give him all the props for developing Drake May, but when it comes to the actual game planning, the offensive play calling, they are just not aggressive enough. And you watch teams like the Buffalo Bills, who have a quarterback that plays a similar style as Drake May. You watch the Philadelphia Eagles. You even watch the Detroit Lions. Teams with pocket passers, they're still running QB sneaks. They're still taking advantage of their quarterback, keeping defenses on their toes and not just pounding it up the middle on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations. And Alex Van Pelt really has not been able to adjust, and he just does not have the toolkit to pull from when the team gets down 2 touchdowns and they have to open up the passing game more. The Patriots just cannot do that. And I get it. That's my biggest complaint about Alex Van Pelt. And right now it seems like, as of this moment in time, he's kind of the fall guy for the Patriots' poor play over these last few weeks. But if you're going to criticize Alex Van Pelt, and he's going to be on the hot seat coming out of the season, everyone should be on the hot seat. All options should be on the table at this point. And I know we've all kind of thought, hey, Jerod Mayo, he's going to get another chance. He had a bad roster, one of the worst teams in football, rookie head coach, a lot of growing pains there. He deserves a second shot. I get that, but the team has to start playing better and at least competitively toward the end of the season to bring back a head coach on a team that's only going to end up with 3 wins. And I don't think the Patriots are going to win a game the rest of the season. They have the Chargers and the Bills twice. It's not going to work out very well for them with those 3 matchups the rest of the way. We're looking at a 3-14 football team, a team that potentially could land the number 1 or number 2 pick in the NFL draft. Great, we could get Travis Hunter or an edge rusher, Abdul Carter or one of the top tackles, but the problems go far beyond the personnel, and they really should fall in the coaching. And that's what's so bizarre about the storyline coming out of the game, is that now Alex Van Pelt is suddenly the fall guy, and people are upset with the cautious game planning and the lack of creative play calling. We've been saying that all season. The Patriots still gave up 30 points on defense today. Once again, the Patriots had another game where they gave up over 160 yards rushing on the ground, and it should have been 200 yards if the Cardinals were just smart about it. They were throwing the ball way too much there in the 3rd and 4th quarter when really they should have just been running out the clock the rest of the game. They should have had 200, 250 yards on the ground. But even in the passing game, Trey McBride was getting wide open. He had a hell of a game, 9 receptions for 87 yards on 10 targets. Greg Dortch, 60 yards, 3 receptions. The only reason the Patriots were kind of in this game in the first half is because Kyler Murray, for whatever reason, decided to keep taking shots to Marvin Harrison Jr., who was up against Christian Gonzalez, who should be an all-pro cornerback at this point. He certainly, I think, earned that role, that title today, with his ability to shut down Marvin Harrison Jr., and that at least kept the Patriots in the game and forced the Cardinals to settle for a few field goals. But then when the Patriots had opportunities to go downfield and score, they were either too cautious, they got stopped on 4th down, they took a field goal when they probably should have gone for it on 4th down, they turned the ball over on what was a catchable ball from Kayshon Boutte. I know Drake May took the blame after that pass because he was trying to protect Boutte with the throw, threw it behind him a little bit, but Boutte had his hands on it and just let it go and fall into the defender's hands. I believe it was Murphy Bunting from the Arizona Cardinals. But Patriots just have not been able to capitalize on opportunities offensively, but this is a far superior offense with all the criticism of Alex Van Pelt to the offense that they had last year with Mac Jones, even the year before with Mac Jones. This is a much better offense. And that's why I'm saying, if you're going to blow the whole thing up on offense and get rid of Alex Van Pelt, then you might as well actually do a full reset this offseason. And yeah, that might look bad, and Robert Kraft may not want to do it. I know how horrible it's going to look if he gives up on Jerod Mayo after one season and says, oh, we're resetting 2 years in a row. We look like the New York Jets. We look like a dysfunctional organization. But they didn't really reset this last offseason. Bill Belichick's tentacles are still all over that organization. Jerod Mayo came up under Bill Belichick, not just as a player, but as a coach. All right, they went with Alex Van Pelt at offensive coordinator because nobody else seemed to want the job. But defensive coordinator, they promoted DeMarcus Covington. But the issue with Bill Belichick wasn't the coaching. The in-game coaching, the game planning was perfectly fine. It was Bill Belichick, the general manager. That's the reason why he lost his job. So what do? They bring back Elliott Wolf and Matt Groh to run the Patriots front office, guys who were the lead consultants, the lead advisors to Bill Belichick. They did not do a full reset. They just basically brought back the foundation that Bill Belichick built. Not only the coaching staff and the front office, they brought back the players too. Kyle Duggar has been atrocious, not just the last few weeks, but all season long. And I was saying this during the offseason. Kyle Duggar was the one guy you should have been willing to let go. Because when he's not being babysat by Devin McCourty in the secondary, he's a completely different player out there. And he had a horrible missed tackle today that ultimately led to a scoring drive for the Arizona Cardinals when the Patriots should have gotten a defensive stop. And there were plenty of those plays on third down where Patriots should have gotten a stop, or they look like they're in great defensive position to stop the run, and somehow James Conner or Trey Benson breaks through for 4 to 6 yards on what should have been a negative play. And this has been happening all season long, and the defense continues to regress. So with all the criticism of Alex Van Pelt that we're getting post-game here, and all the criticism that we're going to get this week, and people already talking like, is he going to have a job Monday morning? Well, if you're going to fire Alex Van Pelt, who has arguably been the most successful coach on this coaching staff with the development of Drake May and the fact that this offense is significantly better than last year with the lack of personnel, with the horrible tackle play that they had, the horrible offensive line, all the injuries they've had there. Really, the only thing they've been able to rely on is Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper and Drake May. Those guys are carrying this entire offense, but at least they're still putting points on the board. At least they're still not giving up. But if you're going to criticize Alex Van Pelt for that, then you have to look at the defense and look at the fact that they gave up 30 points to an Arizona Cardinals team that really has struggled the last 3 weeks. And I know they went up against good teams. The last 3 weeks, they played the Seahawks twice, and they played, I believe, the Vikings. They lost all 3 of those games, but they were close games. This is not a terrible team, but it is a team where if you get a little bit of pressure on Kyler Murray, if you're able to collapse the pocket, make sure he doesn't escape, he's going to make mistakes out there. But they weren't able to get hardly any pressure on Kyler Murray all day. Didn't allow a sack the entire game. And the run defense is getting worse. The secondary play is getting worse. Patriots haven't been able to generate any pressure all season long, even with Christian Barmore back out there. You have Christian Barmore and Keon White, and they still can't put pressure on the quarterback. That falls on DeMarcus Covington, and that falls on Jerod Mayo, a defensive head coach. I was expecting maybe the defense would take a minor step back this season, and hopefully the offense would take a step forward. I think the offense has taken a couple steps forward, but the defense has taken like 5 steps back. And that was part of the reason you brought in Jerod Mayo. He knew Bill Belichick's defensive system. Same with DeMarcus Covington. You're going to have some continuity there, and you're not going to skip a beat. You're bringing everyone back. You have Kyle Duggar. Jabril Peppers is back out there. Christian Gonzalez, already one of the best corners in the league. They were able to generate pressure all season long last year. Maybe they'll take a tiny step back with Bill Belichick gone, but you expect there to be some continuity. And instead, they're one of the worst defenses in the entire NFL, and I would say probably the worst run defense in the entire NFL, and they may have the worst secondary if it weren't for Christian Gonzalez. So as much as we want to fire Alex Van Pelt, and I'm open to everything, right? Like, we need someone that's going to use Drake May in the same way that the Buffalo Bills use Josh Allen, or the same way the Philadelphia Eagles use Jalen Hurts. Use their legs, use their mobility, get a little bit of creative out there on offense, run a few more bootlegs. Stop relying on these dink and dunk screen passes and the power run right up the middle and duos and things like that. I'm open to that. Get a real creative offensive play caller in there that is going to maximize Drake May's potential, especially because he's a lot further along than all of us expected at this point. But if you're going to throw Alex Van Pelt under the bus, you have to throw the entire coaching staff under the bus with it. And that starts with Jerod Mayo and DeMarcus Covington. And I don't think Robert Kraft is quite ready to go there yet. And look, I think as of right now, if I had to predict, I think Alex Van Pelt's gone. I think DeMarcus Covington is definitely gone. I think Jerod Mayo at least gets another season. But Mike Vrabel's only going to be on the market this offseason. He's probably going to get a head coaching job next year. Ben Johnson is interested in coaching a UNC alumni like Drake May, a real quarterback there, a guy who may take the coaching better than Caleb Williams in Chicago. Then you have to be willing to move on for Jerod Mayo to bring in an offensive genius like Ben Johnson, or bring in a Mike Vrabel who's going to make sure that this is a much more buttoned up team, at least on the defensive side of the football. but they're not buttoned up anywhere. And that's the real issue with the Patriots right now. And also, you can't dismiss the front office. You can't dismiss Elliott Wolf and Matt Groh. We know Drake May fell to the Patriots. I guess give him credit for drafting him. It's worked out. We have the future franchise quarterback. But Jalen Polk hasn't worked out. Caden Wallace, still too early to tell. Layden Robinson hasn't looked great out there. The draft wasn't great. They just kind of brought the same players back. Didn't make any big splashes in the offseason. They thought they had a bridge left tackle with Chuksa Okorafor. Elliott Wolf perhaps should be on the hot seat. But if you're going to reset, you have to do a full reset, and you can't just say we're going to keep the parts of Bill Belichick that we liked without having Bill Belichick there. It just didn't make any sense, and instead you have Elliott Wolf, who wasn't ready for the job, Jerod Mayo, who certainly wasn't ready for the job, a first-time offensive play caller, a first-time defensive coordinator, and this is the result. And I think a guy like Mike Vrabel could turn this franchise around instantly, especially with a quarterback like Drake May. He never really had a great quarterback in Tennessee. He had Ryan Tannehill. Imagine what he could do with Drake May. Imagine what he could do with the talent that the Patriots have on defense. I know there's a ton of injuries there, but plenty of talent there to not be giving up 160-plus yards on the ground each week. And I know the run defense has been better the last few weeks, but a lot of that has just been the play calling on the opposing team. I still think a lot of these teams, like the Jets, who insisted on throwing the ball, the last victory that the Patriots had against them, that should have been a game where the Jets rushed for 200 yards. They were just too stupid not to run the football. I think the Cardinals were too stupid not to run the football against this Patriots defense today. And we also have heard that apparently people were reading lips of Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft when they were on the CBS camera during the game, and they were frustrated and said something like, it's the offensive play calling that's the issue. It's the offensive play calling. Okay, then why didn't you make a harder push to bring in a real offensive coordinator? Why didn't you actually interview people for the head coaching job and take into consideration an offensive-minded head coach like all the modern NFL teams do, instead of saying, hey, we decided to give it to Jerod Mayo 5 years ago, even though we don't think he's ready, we're going to give him the job right now. The Krafts also deserve a ton of blame for what's going on with this team right now. So yeah, I guess it's good for draft stock. The Travis Hunter conversation is only going to heat up. Abdul Carter, all of the tackles, Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell, whoever's going to be top of the draft. There's going to be plenty to talk about in the coming weeks and months, and it's exciting that the Patriots are back in the same position they were last year, but they're there for a reason. And I think blaming it all on Alex Van Pelt, who arguably has been the most successful coach on this team with the development of Drake May and the fact that the offense has improved with the lack of weapons that they have, he's too easy of a fall guy. I'm open to moving on from him. I kind of hope they do and bring in someone that can bring a little innovation to this offense, or a Josh McDaniels, or someone who's at least going to bring some stability and creativity to that offense. But if you're going to fire him, you got to be willing to fire everybody else and do a full-on reset. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think the Patriots should do a full reset and get rid of Mayo, get rid of AVP, get rid of Covington, and just bring in a new coaching staff, maybe a new front office? Do you blame it on the Krafts? What do you think they need to do to maximize Drake May so this can be a playoff contending team next year? I'm curious to hear from you. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, or subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and we'll see you throughout the week.
Out in the desert, the packs fell hard. Mayo's defense cracked, couldn't play their part. 30 on the board, what more can you say? But it's Van Pelt in the spotlight, taking heat today. Rookie May's got wheels, but he's stuck in the mud. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, no creative blood. While the D let McBride and Connor roll free. Who's really to blame? Ain't that what we see on Pat's Cast, where we break it all down? Who's sinking this ship? Who's wearing the crown? Was it play calling woes or the D's miscues? The blame game's rolling, we've got the blues. O-line loose, Lau got blown by. Often stumbled and Sly kissed the uprights goodbye. Big Gonzo's fighting, holding his own. But Duggar's whiff let the Cardinals take it home. Mayo points the finger, Van Pelt's in the light. But Covington's crew gave up yards all night. No just one of those games. And now we're here asking who deserves the flames on Pat's Cast, where we break it all down. Who's sinking this ship? Who's wearing the crown? Was it play calling woes or the D's miscues? The blame game's rolling, we've got the blues. May's got the talent, but he's feeling the chains. Van Pelt calling it scared all in vain. Stevenson and Gibson tried to carry the load, but that goal line wall, man, it just wouldn't fold. Kyler's reckless, yet he finds his man. McBride's clutch, Connor's got the plan. Roughing flags fly, turnover sting. And May's end zone magic wasn't enough to bring a win.